As if having a glass ceiling was not enough, we now have a glass mountain to deal with. Yeah, roll the tape, because we clearly need to discuss. And another thing, good people, just because she's a woman, it doesn't mean that she's really a girl's girl. Okay, because we really need to have a conversation about how tokenism in women's leadership is setting us 100 steps back. I mean, does it ever end at this point? Does it ever end? Hello guys, and welcome back to another amazing episode. I am so happy and excited to have you guys here with me. It has been a while, I will admit, but it's all for good reason. We have taken some time and a bit of a step back to really, strategize and see how we can better refine this channel and continue to deliver impactful, powerful, and punchy, content for you all. So with that, if you haven't yet, like, subscribe, comment, do the whole 9 yards, because we are always happy to see new faces in the community. So I don't want to waste any more time. I really want to get into the nitty-gritties of today's topic, which is going to be talking about the issue of healthcare system and women's representation within Southern Africa. I came across this amazing article. I will put it over here and it will be linked in the bio below. And it was basically a report that has been released by Women Lift Health, and they were talking about how there is a persistent leadership gap when it comes to women within the public health sector. And the unfortunate thing about this is that they mentioned that though we have some of the most progressive gender equality policies, these are simply gathering dust. And one of the main reasons for this is because of how we do not have the adequate resources that are required to really implement this. I really feel that this is not a new story when it comes to the African reality. This is a constant debacle that we are faced with, the fact that we do not have a policy issue, we always have an implementation issue. And I also think that it's not always a matter of resources. I just also think that it's sometimes a matter of political will and whether certain systems and frameworks are really willing to do the inward work of changing and restructuring to be more inclusive and be more progressive as is required. Another thing that this article highlighted in terms of like the report that they were mentioning is something I really want to read, which I thought was like, wow, really interesting. They said instead, women face a glass ceiling in disguise, where institutional cultures, biased promotion systems, and caregiving expectations quietly limit women's rise to leadership. Again, this is nothing new to the conversation when it comes to why it is that women hardly ever reach, the very tops of leadership. It is very unfortunate that in today's day and age, we are still having industries that are putting women in a position where they are having to choose between their, their passions and their careers and their ambitions within that space, and whether it is that they can start a family and be a homemaker, and what, going down that path will mean or how it will undercut them when it comes to their career pursuits and ambitions. And I think that this is really, really also seen, particularly in this sector, with how just strenuous the schedule of healthcare workers is, especially when it comes to doctors. I am not a doctor myself, but I do have some friends who are in this field, and every time I have a discussion with them, I'm always so shocked at how long and grueling the hours are. Like, I mean, their shifts can range from anywhere from literally 12-hour shifts to even 48-hour shifts, even longer. Yes, they do take naps, but guys, to have a work shift that long, like, even if you were to start a family, how does that even look like, considering that all the other expectations that is required of anyone who just wants to be a well, and fully engaged active citizen of their society, right? So that being said, another thing that this article brought up is something that I always speak to, which is, this whole, woman tokenism. And what I mean by that is the fact that just because there is a woman in a place of leadership, it doesn't always mean that it will translate to women's lives being changed within the constituency or the demographic that that woman is, leading, or is at the top of when it comes to whatever space that she's in. And this is something that the article brought to light, as it mentioned how Zambia has only got 13% of females who are in like district health senior roles, right? But more than that, I think another thing that was so unfortunate is the fact that when we consider this, underrepresentation of women, you really start to think that this obviously is going to mean that women are not in the important places of decision making when it comes to health. And why is this important? This is so important because, guys, we are in a day and age where a nightmare that I still cannot fathom and wrap my head around that some women experience is that they have misdiagnoses for things such as PCOS, endometriosis, and the list goes on. There is a huge health gender gap when it comes to women's bodies. And when you do the research and understand the history of this, you see that the first problem started with how just the industry of medicine in of itself, it was built on the study and the knowledge of male bodies. I think when it comes to women's bodies, it was only with particular things that pertain to women, such as like childbearing and pregnancy, right? But when it comes to other issues, that has only there's only starting to be a catch up like in present day, and you can only imagine how problematic that is, because obviously our anatomies are different. So that would mean that there are certain things that as a woman I might go through that a man will never even be able to fathom and understand. So if at a senior level we are not having women be present and really speak to some of these unique and female particular issues, it should tell you that at the very bottom, women are really being underserved, right, when it comes to their own health. Not only are they being underserved, but I'm pretty sure that the system is also just not considering the economic abilities of women to be able to easily access that healthcare, right? And so another thing I really appreciated is how this article spoke to the fact that though there are these leadership development programs, there are issues, or there are things of like male allyship, there are various, scholarships that help women, come into the space. This has still not been enough. And I think some of the things that may be the cause of this is the fact that, one, when it comes to women's leadership, in many cases, women are often called in at the very end, when the crisis has now reached a point of no return. And why this is problematic in any space. So for example, like with COVID, like we saw that some of the countries that responded best were the countries that had female presidents or had women really take in a very prominent lead. Why this is important, why this is unfortunate that women only come in at the moment of crisis, is because of the fact that if something goes wrong, the woman will be blamed. Again, though, if something does go right, yes, you might get that, recognition, but it's also on some why is it that only women are called in as a last reserve? Does that make sense? So I think for me, that's like one of the first problems that we are faced with when it comes to this issue of like female leadership. I think another thing is also the fact that I don't necessarily think that we have enough women who feel as though they would be supported and would be encouraged to be able to live a holistic life. What do I mean by that? I mean that they will be able to pursue their career ambitions whilst being able to also have a very personal, healthy family life, if that is something that they choose to do. And I think as a result of that, it might, end up having a lot of women not end up going up to those very high levels of leadership, but also it might just deter them completely from being within, these industries. final thing, which is just like my own personal opinion, as somebody who comes from a country like South Africa where there is a great deal of inequality, studying a degree such as medicine is very taxing. It is a huge risk, and this is one of those careers that are not really cheap. And I don't mean cheap in the sense that you can't get a scholarship. I'm sure you can get scholarships that really cover everything, but if you are in your family a first generation graduate, or you are somebody who does not come from a really well-off or a disadvantaged rather family, it will be really, I don't think you'll be really encouraged just personally to want to pursue that career that takes only about like 7+ years for you to be able to see fruition, right? So yeah, these are just some of the things that I thought about when it came to this report. Highlighted some amazing things. I would encourage that you read it if you have the chance. And also, if you have any other opinions as to why you think that this issue is, definitely let us know in the comment section. Let's continue the conversation. And so with that, we will move on to women across Africa. We are now in Women Across Africa, and today's article just really put a smile on my face. You can literally see I am grinning, okay? And we are going to Somalia, capital city of Mogadishu, and basically we are following the story of two ladies that are highlighted in this article. The first is Faith Abdi and the other is Saida Omar, and these are basically young engineers within the construction space, and they really detail some of like their struggles, their successes within this very male dominated industry. Now, a few things that I really liked about this article: as we know, Somalia has had a very tragic and unfortunate past, considering the wars and the political instability that was happening. So it's currently in a process of rebuilding and really just a place of rebirth when it comes to its national identity. And it's amazing to see that women are taking hold of opportunities, and even if those opportunities aren't openly there, they are really fighting and navigating to get themselves in these spaces that they would have normally been shunned out of. And another thing I really liked about this article is the fact that these women highlighted the fact that though they have now made a name for themselves, and they've become really what you call this well renowned for the work that they do mention that it was not easy getting in. I think one of the ladies mentions the fact that she had to apply for like 3 months just to get somebody that she could that could mentor her and she could shadow. And it just goes to show how a lot of people just didn't trust that their house or a corporate building could be built by the intellect of a woman, and so I think the story is a beautiful one in how it highlights how women really go against the grain when it comes to really making a space and a name for themselves in a lot of male dominated spaces, because they have to go against existing biases, but also they have to I think work even 3 times as hard as their male counterparts to really show that they are just as competent as the men, and if not more in certain cases. An interesting stat that was shared on this article is that in Somalia, only 5% of the engineers are women, and the opportunities are scarce because even though women are coming into the sector, it's not necessarily because the industry in and of itself is like, hey, we want you. It's because there is a large demand for professionals, and sometimes the supply is not there, so they're just taking whoever they can get at this point in time. It's unfortunate to think that this is the only reason why women are getting into the space, but I also think that, hey, listen, when it comes to such struggles, you gotta take the bull by the horns wherever and however you can do so. And I loved how this article closed off, and I just want to read it as I also end off this segment. And Miss Abdi says that we are proving that women can not only design buildings but can also lead projects and shape their city. And I think that they're not only just shaping their city, but they're really shaping the future destiny of their nation, considering that they are really playing a very critical role by being at the forefront of what is going to be a very new and different Somalia. So that was just such an amazing and encouraging story to read. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And if so, let's move right on to Woman of the Week. And now it's time for Woman of the Week. If you are new here, this segment is a place where I highlight a story that I have read of a woman who has done something really great and I think just deserves a bit more cheer, and applause. So this this week's Woman of the Week takes us to Ghana, and we meet a woman by the name of Naomi Oti, and she is a oncology nurse, and she has just been awarded the 2025 Astia Gardens Global Nursing Award in recognition for her pioneering work in cancer care and nurse training. I really wanted to end with this article as a way of tying up from the first segment of the show where I was talking about issues of like healthcare within Southern Africa. And I think that this article and, the video I'm just about to play really highlights the exceptional work that women can do when they are afforded the chance to lead, and how they can be able to progress the industries that they are in and really ensure that the advancements that are made are sustainable, are inclusive, and are ones that are not only just benefiting a few but benefiting all. So I love just some of the work that she's done, and I just want to read a few things that she has under her belt of accolades. Okay, so firstly, she has seen major developments in her leadership, in that she has helped launch training programs in collaboration with international institutions. She has also been part of a team that developed Ghana's postgraduate oncology nursing curriculum in 2015. And beyond her home country of Ghana, Oti has influenced cancer nursing policy and education across Africa. And this just goes to show that women can also not only play a exceptional role within the continent in and of itself, but they can also help to shape Africa as a continent that can be, a thought leader in various spaces when it comes to, things that are happening globally. So I really love the story. I hope you guys enjoy watching it as much as I did. And with that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. With that, please like, subscribe, comment, and thank you for being here. I will see you on the next one, which is going to be very soon. Bye.
Naomi Ohene Oti from Ghana.
When hard work pays off. Ohene Oti has won the 2025 Astor Guardians Global Nursing Award for her pioneering work in cancer care and nurse training. She was selected from 100,000 applicants across 199 countries.
This is not just my victory. It is a recognition of the resilience, compassion, and leadership of nurses across Ghana, Africa, and the world. Over 2 decades ago, I began my nursing journey with a simple mission: to ease pain, bring hope, and walk alongside those battling cancer. In sub-Saharan Africa, I have witnessed firsthand the inequities in cancer care, especially in the resourced communities. But I've also seen the immense potential of nurses to lead transformative change.
As head of nursing at Kolebu's Oncology Centre in Accra, Ohene helped launch training programs. She was also part of the team that developed Ghana's postgraduate oncology nursing curriculum in 2015. Her award comes amid global calls to elevate the profession.
We need urgent, sustained investments in nursing education, jobs, leadership, and working conditions, informed by data, driven by equity, and inspired by the courage and compassion of nurses. My congratulations to the nurses being recognized today.
This year's award cycle saw a 28% increase in nursing applications over the last year.